In this video, I'm showing that you can do a templated process. And in this case, I've decided to template the body. So usually with a process, your data and your code run together and they create whatever rig you've defined by that process. In a templated process, you're using the code and the data, well, actually mostly the code and the options from the source process. Um, so in order to set up the options, if I hit edit, well, first off, at the bottom here, I would right click, add reference group. And that's how I've created this reference group above. So this one. And then I've added this code. So what this one's trying to do is I have a path to the process. Here you can supply a path if you're setting this one up for yourself. In this case, because this process is part of these Git Vetala templates, I've just done a relative path into this one. And the way I've done that is I use util.getEnvironment. So I do from vtool import util. I do util get environment Vetala project path. So that gives me my wherever I am right now in my project. And then util file join path. I join the project path and give it the path to the character human body, which is up here. So given this path, I feed that into path to process equals path. So this is a built-in, and whatever path I give this path to process built-in, it will use it as soon as I hit the edit button. And then option groups are the groups that I want it to use. There is a group that I've excluded, which was the workflow group. So if I go back here, I could add workflow back in. And it will appear down here. So whatever changes I make to the base body here, let's say I go here and add something to the workflow, a boolean. If I go back to my body, that boolean will be there. So this allows me to build all sorts of things in my base process, and it will update on all of the processes that use this templated setup. So I'm going to go back and just remove this and check it again. It's gone. And there's some problems right now with the setup. It's not actually running these properly. And there's a way I could get it to work. I won't get into that in this video. Maybe I'll do another video about that. But for now, I'll just edit and remove the workflow section. Okay, so now I have my asset and I have my rig, and referenced options are like a different color. They're slightly blue. And cool, so in my data, what I had to do is I copied my data from the body. So generally the workflow is you edit the data, but then in the code, if I go back to body, you can see that under templated human body, it's all, first I get the template. So this is similar how I got it in the options. And then I do process instance. So here I'm getting empty process and I'm giving it this path. So it's the path to this body. So I get my template, I get empty process, and I give it that path. And so now I have the instance to the body, character human body process. And then put.template process instance. So here I'm putting, for later use, I'm putting this template process as the process instance. And then inside template process, I'm set data override. So what I want it to do is I want it to use the code from get template, but I want it to use the data from this current process. So what I do is put .template process set data override, and I give it the current process. So with this code here, I've successfully templated kind of successfully templated this process. And then inside of these, I'm able to just call the rig group or the code groups from the body process. So if I go to template rig, template process, run script group, I'm running init and I'm running rig. So if I go to body, you can see it's running init and it's running rig. And then the other ones are going to run the rest of these groups. So if I go back to body, this is running rig finish, this is running deform, and this is running finish. So if I run this now, and actually before I do that, I'm going to just slightly push over my script editor. Okay, so if I go back and I run this now, it's going to start to build. So the data again is coming from this current process, but the code is coming from the other process that we've templated from. And so all of that code, if I update it in the base template, it's going to update on this process. So all the code is controlled in that main template, in that main process, in the base process. And all the data is customizable for this particular rig. So right now it's running the transfer weights and template finish. So there's my full rig built from a template. And again, if I go to my data and well, let me save my build first. And then if I open my model, so here's a copy of the model inside of this templated process. So inside of this template human body, not human body, but templated human body. Then we have model, which comes in. We have a copy of the skeleton, and we have a copy of the skin rates and the control CV positions. Control CVs, the model structure, and the weight clip. These are all copies that I can edit. So for this new character, I can have a new model, I can have a new, I want probably the same skeleton, but I could add stuff to the skeleton, like appendages and things like that. And then weight skin cluster is the skin clusters, so I could edit it for this particular character. So I'm free to have custom data, but my code is all templated to point back to human over here. So this is how I've been setting up templates so that I can have one character direct hundreds of other characters. And yeah, so if you were to duplicate this body, and if you were to give it, say you were to duplicate this body into a different network directory so that it's not relative to this one, you could still point it back by just giving it the path here, and it will use that path instead of the relative path that I created. And if I duplicate this, so let's just try duplicating it. If I run this duplicate now, it's going to run exactly the same. So this is the templated, but it has its own copy of the model, it has its own copy of the structure, and it has its own copy of the weights. And so I could change the model, I could move the position of the skeleton, I could change the CV positions, I could edit the skin weights on this one, and it'll still build with the code from human body. So this is now inside of the GitHub for here. It's inside of vtool templates, and you'll find it in examples. Oh wait, 1 second. Vtool templates character, sorry, and then you'll find it under templated human body. Cool. So that is how to set up a templated character.